that is to sort of, I think the internet democratizes selection of talent. Yeah, so and we're also going to be doing a bunch of live events from the curated talent. So you might have some really interesting surprises that we're working with Nexa and Nexa Music to perhaps enhance the experience of how we consume. You heard Mr. Rahman say that one of the key challenges of discovering music is venues. And so we're seeing if we can actually tackle that in an interesting way. It's going to be online in terms of selection process, and then also give the artists an opportunity to perform live through the year. So you will see 12 live gigs that will emerge as part of the Nexa Music project.
And Mr. Rahman, how will it be beneficial for the artists, especially singers or musicians? What?
Exposure mainly, and we're not telling many things here because we don't want to promise too much and not deliver. But the whole idea is to, this is the first step. The second step is something we are working on, is to give them the exposure for the international playground. And that's not easy because there's so many factors stopping that. So the first step is this, and I'm very, very pleased with this step.
Yeah, Mr. Rahman, I'd like to wish you many happy returns of the day. And what's the best gift you got from for this birthday?
A lot of love, collective. I took photographs of almost 3,000 people lined up in my street.
So yeah, Mandela from Film India, sir. I wanted to know, sir, India is like mostly into Bollywood music. It's very popular. But what's the future that you see in this English music? Will it capture the market? Because in between there was a lot of demand for indie pop music. But that craze just got down, and now I mean,
it needs to be helped, it needs to be nurtured. Nothing is wrong with film music. It's beautiful, but it's being commissioned. Like you have to write for the situation, and those are limited. I think here your imagination is, the whole universe is your imagination. And sometimes, indie music actually inspires movies. I want that to happen. I want a song from here to go there. I mean, not a compulsion, but I felt like this will open up. People's minds should now be closed. I think it should trigger the imagination of the common man. And that can only happen if you're not restricted in your imagination. That you should only write for this actor or actress or this story or this director. But here you can talk about anything. And yeah.
You see the future bright for such music, sir?
Future is always bright. We actually create the future. All of us create the future.
We need a market for.
That's what we're trying to create. Yes. But for everything needs the first step. First steps are already there. Tiny steps are already there. Not denying that people are working towards this. I think we should collectively come and make this a success.
Thank you.
Hi Mr. Rahman, I'm Pradeep from Rolling Stone India, and you mentioned K-pop earlier. I write about K-pop, so I have to ask you, what about the K-pop industry made you sort of notice it and look into it, and what can we in our Indian industry implement and learn from it?
India is the most young country now, and that's a gift and a curse. If it's guided correctly, and if we all have positive, thinking, I think we can go forward. But if we pull ourselves down, it's a bad thing. And each one of us have to push the way India is being projected and how India should be a success story for the world to see. And I think music is a great tool for that. And so we're beginning now.
Is it the entire visuals of it what we need to enhance as well? Because in terms of packaging and things like that.
Sometimes these details don't matter. Collectively, something should create an impact. And whatever it takes, we all have. We have the resources, and we just need the intention. Intention is the most important thing.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Samir? Yeah. So, I just want to have a question regarding, so who are going to be the jury members? There are a lot of entries going to be, or there are going to be any international jury members also be participating in for judging and all.
So, you saw the panel, there's Nikhil, there's Clinton, there's Anushka, and of course Rahman san. So all of the content is actually going to, while they're also creating original music themselves, they're also going to be reviewing all of this content. So they are going to, this jury sometimes creates this divide between artists and the actual people there. So we want them as, the idea that came from out of Nexa Music was to have them as mentor collaborators. And so as mentor collaborators, they're of course reviewing stuff and helping it get better, but they're also going to be doing the job of the curation aspect. And this is where some of we're also leaning on to the Rolling Stone magazine and the entire team over there to help us co-curate this, so that we have one level of sift. The second level of sift comes in with all of these amazing artists, and then of course everything that actually comes out is under the purview of Mr. Rahman also.
Are we seeing any kind of an international mentor from international jury?
There will be.
Don't want to reveal too
because the
much
most to focus on music and how it could probably nurture and how it could blossom is A&R. People who understand whether they have something beautiful already to realize it. Because sometimes you have something beautiful and you don't understand, you just throw it away. And even abroad, I've heard many stories where people have had some, James Blunt had that song for like years, the beautiful, and then somebody else took it and became a big hit. Sometimes it takes time for people to understand that you follow the current trend and you think that this is the song because it sounds like what I've heard. And very few people have that imagination to find or realize what special has come. And so it's a tricky part. We're on a team and we hope we don't do that mistake.
Thank you.
I just want to also add that I think while we welcome potentially an international collaboration or an influence, this team is in no means lacking whatever energy, inspiration, exposure that they can bring to the table. Starting with Mr. Rahman, and look at and we talked about some of the international journeys that some of these artists have had. I think at Nexa Music there was a lot of time and energy spent in curating a banner, not necessarily going with who's who would attract the most eyeballs. I think it's quite apparent that it's been curated from a purpose perspective of what they can give back. And so while we welcome anything that might come from the international audience, an international collaborator, I think we're very, very tight, capable team.
Thank you.
Press the bell icon on YouTube app and never miss another update.
Wow.